guys, it's Carly here for MFT, and today I wanted to share with you this silly shaker card that includes a few elements that I like to incorporate into a lot of my shaker cards. So I'm starting with my card by creating my window panel, which is going to make my shaker window. And one of my absolute favorite ways to create a shaker window is with a big word die or big alphabet dies. So this is the Modern Serif alphabet set. I just love it. I use it all the time. And I've drawn a light pencil line on my heavyweight panel to line up those letter dies. And then I'm using my centering ruler to make sure my spacing is right, and just a little bit of low-tack tape to hold them down and run them through my die cut machine. Now, if I had any letters that had middles like A's or E's or anything like that, I would save those middles and probably just stick them down to my craft mat with a little bit of low-tack tape to save them for later, but I don't, so I don't have to worry about it. So I can just erase that pencil line and move on to my next step. So this sentiment from the Hoodie Weather stamp set actually inspired this card and inspired the phrase that I went with and my shaker window and all of that, but I don't want to have duplicate words. So I'm going to do a few little things to kind of customize that stamp and edit and make it say what I want it to. Once I think I've got it where I want it, I'm going to test it. So I'm going to use a piece of acetate that I keep in my MISTI. I'm going to place it over my panel so that I can practice stamp. Then I'm going to use a little piece of low-tack tape to cover up the first word there. I don't want it to say nuts twice, right? So I'm going to cover up that word and I'm going to ink up my stamp. Then remove that tape, stamp it down onto the acetate, and that will show me if I have it in the right place, if it looks good with that word missing, all that kind of good stuff. So once I'm happy with that test, I can clean off that acetate, put it back in my MISTI for next time, and then I'm going to just go through that process again. So I'm going to mask off my stamp, I'm going to ink it up, I'm going to remove that tape, and I'm going to stamp it onto my panel again, and this time it'll actually be on the paper. And if you've seen my last video or seen any of my videos on my channel, I know I always share this tip, but I have to because this was just life-changing for me. It really was. So many cards had been wasted by messed up sentiments, and this really just changed my life. So that's why I'm sharing it again. Now, I'm finishing my shaker window by putting a little bit of acetate on the back. So my acetate has double-sided adhesive around the edge, and then I also like to do a little bit of glue pen around those intricate die-cut letter openings. So now that the shaker window is all ready to go, I can put that panel aside, and the next thing is some shaker bits. So I love using small images from stamp sets to make little shaker bits, and I'll show you the easy way to do it. So I made a little stamping template to do a whole bunch of acorns. So I die cut the acorn shape from a scrap of cardstock, loaded it up in my MISTI, and then use that template to line up where my stamp will go. Then I die cut a whole bunch of blank acorns from just plain cardstock, and then I can pop those little acorns into my template, ink up the acorn stamp down onto the die cut, and then pop them out and do the next one. So it makes it really quick and easy to do a whole bunch of the same image and shape. Okay, so off camera, I colored my acorns. I did it off camera because I'm really slow and I don't feel like I have any good tips to share with you about that. I'm not an expert. I feel like I'm always still such a beginner with Copic markers. So I didn't want to bore you, but I did want to show you this next part, that I take a couple more of the blank acorn dies and I adhere them underneath the colored one so that it just has a little bit more weight and a little bit more heft as a shaker bit. And by the way, I use glue pen to do this because it gives me a little more wiggle room to line them up, all the pieces together. Now, once I've got my acorn shaker bits, I need that shaker container. So I'm using a little bit of foam tape around that shaker window to build my container. So once my shaker container is ready, I put the acorns in and I make sure they're all facing the right direction, and then add a few little sparkly bits too. Now, I've recently started sealing my little shaker containers before I actually adhere it to a card, just because I think it makes it easier and also lets me change my mind sometimes about my card background. So I'm going to remove that liner paper from the foam tape, and I'm going to put another piece of acetate on top to seal that shaker container. So now that my shaker window is really ready to go, I need a card. I want to add a little bit of color to where that window is going to fall. So I've got my folded card and I've got some Distress Oxide inks, and I'm not really even blending that much. I'm just really adding color and then popping that shaker panel on top to make sure I've got color everywhere it needs to be. After the ink blending was done, then I adhered that shaker panel to the folded card and then added a little hedgehog on top and a little bit of faux splatter with the pen. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you like the card. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And I hope you get time to craft today. Thanks again, guys. Bye.